Boom! What's going on, guys? My name's Zach, and today we're going to be looking at two iconic ships in EVE, which is the Raven and the Raven Navy issue. Best known for PvE setups, also really good for PvP, especially now since it's got an extra mid slot for that tank and stuff. But today we're going to be trying to focus on PvE. I've had a lot of questions about how do you fit one, what's the best fit for like the beginner to the ship sort of thing, like a low SP fit. So it's really hard as an older player to try and fit a ship and try and take into account sort of like skills that aren't maxed up, like engineering, like CPU stuff, electronics and things like that. So I've done my best. I've tried to put an emphasis on still having lots of DPS and having a really good tank which is stable, if not lasts for like a good 10 minutes plus, so that should give a good time to spam through a mission with them missiles and stuff. Also, I'm only using Meta 4 launchers because Cruise 2 launchers take absolutely ages to go to train, sorry, and most people are going to be using the Meta 4 ones, which is the ballast ones or whatever they're called. So I'll take this bird outside and we'll have a look at the fit which I've came up with. Right, there she is, and there is a couple of odd modules on the ship, I will say, but it's all in favour of cap stability and DPS. So if you just bear with us, guys, I'll run you through why I think this is a really good setup. So the first thing you're going to notice in the lows is that there's no damage control. People swear by damage controls, which is fine, absolutely fantastic modules. They give you a good buff to your shield, armour, and the most important one, the structure being the 60%, but if you put a damage control on this setup, the way it is now, you only get an extra 5% on your thermal and an extra 4% on your EM, I think, and the other two are pretty negligible anyway, so I wouldn't worry about that because I'm looking at the ship for its worst case scenario mission. So your incoming damage, which I'm thinking about, is going to be EM and thermal, which the Raven and all Caldari ships mainly are like hold against, so we're going to concentrate on AM and thermal. So damage control doesn't really do much, and really if you're relying on that to save you in a mission, if you get like in really low shield or something, you should just be walking away before you even hit that point anyway. So no damage control, and that was in favour of a third ballistic control system. Now obviously it will stack and you do get quite a high stacking penalty on damage mods, but the damage on the missiles before the third ballistic was 522, I think, and with the third one, that's 598. I need to wear my glasses for this. So that's quite a hefty chunk of DPS there. So I personally think for the extra few percent bonus on the few percent bonus resistance on the shields, you're better off having that extra DPS just to blitz through the missions a little bit quicker. Right, and the lows, again, capacitor flux coils, emphasis on capacitor again, need to keep it stable. You can see at the minute, with everything running, it lasts for 14 minutes and 35 seconds, that's with a extra large shield booster, so that is a long time, and with the amp as well, it's doing 938 HP every 5 seconds. So that's a really decent tank, and the resists aren't too bad, especially since we're focusing on the AM and thermal damage, which is obviously the worst case scenario. Resistance are going to be much higher against kinetic and explosive, like if you're tanking that damage coming in. So obviously I think it's a good way to do it personally. So, and also resistances. Now you might think, Zach, are you mad, bro? Are you mad? You've only got 2 actives and a passive module on there. What's going on? So again, my theory with the added so let's see here, we've got 2 AM wards. If I had 2 of them ward amplifiers on, you wouldn't get much more. I think you'd only get 81%, and that's with a damage control or something stupid like that. And then the cap only lasts 8 minutes then, because you're running that active module. So with a passive module, there's no cap use on it, and you're getting pretty similar results. But now I will say the passive ones can be trained up to level 5 to give you the max amount of resistance for that module. So one skill, the compensation I think it is on the shield, doesn't take long to train, like 5 days or something, and it's worth it in my opinion. And again, focusing on the cap, it's extra large boosters need that cap, and people are going to have like low skills for like CPU stuff, so that's the emphasis of this. And to back that up as well, we've got control circuits all the way around, so we've got 3 of them, and that helps the cap even more. Now, I'll just mention quickly that I'm not using any implants here, so I'll go through the fitting here, and then I'll plug in the implants, and then I'll show you what effect those implants have. And I've only went for like cheap implants, so it's like +3s and stuff. Right, so the mid, so obviously extra large shield booster and the amp to go with it. Resistance, so we've got EM, we've got a passive EM just to boost that massive hole up, because it's literally got 0 on the shields when you haven't got anything on, and the thermal, so that takes it up quite high as well. And cap charges in the last two, again focusing on the cap. And in the highs we've got the missile launchers, which is 6, and in the centre there we've got an offline tractor beam, but I've just left it offline to show the cap, so that, I mean, that does take into account. I think when you've got it actually on, it only lasts 10 minutes, so that doesn't really give a true reflection of what it's doing and stuff, so I left it offline. But you can even put a Nosferatu in there just to keep you more stable. So that's pretty much it. So you got like good damage mods in there. You got 3 damage mods. You've got drones doing an extra like 100 plus DPS. So all in all, you're doing like 750. That's with like obviously my skills. I've got them pretty much topped up on the missiles, if not like all maxed. But it's really good. It's a good setup, and now that the Raven's got an extra mid slot, it's got a decent tank as well and capacitor. So hopefully anyone who jumps in that who's fairly newish can have similar results to me with this. So that's pretty beast. And obviously this is like cheap as possible as well. I mean, it's Tech 2 mods, but you shouldn't really be running level 4s with like Tech 1s and stuff like that. So I would suggest saving up for these Tech 2 mods, like the shield boost amp especially. That does get quite a big jump over the T1 and stuff. Unless you buy a Meta 4, then it's just going to like cost you like millions and millions of is to get, because they're really like overpriced. But yeah, that's the Raven. Hope you like it, and I'm sure there's going to be thousands of troll messages in the comments and stuff, but I'll just quickly plug in these and then I can run through what they're actually doing. There we go. So with the implants plugged in, we're getting a little bit more DPS. We're fully cap stable now with an extra large booster running, like fully cap stable, which is really good. So for the longer missions, you can just perma boost the shit out of that. And the implants are used. So we've got Squire Energy Systems, which gives you 3% reduction in cap charge, so that helps towards the stability of the capacitor. I'll just quickly check these. And we've got rate of fire bonus, -3%. What's this one doing? Damage multiplier for the cruise missiles, 3%. And missile velocity bonus. You don't really need that one, but I just thought like just have a full set of hardwires in for the missiles, so that's an extra 3%. And again, velocity bonus as well, so that's 3%. Now, you can get +5s obviously, but they're all going to be expensive. Like I say, trying to keep it for the newer players, so all of that equals a pretty badass ship if you're just starting out and stuff. So yeah, that's the Raven. Please leave comments or troll messages or whatever the fuck you want to do, because the Raven's like, as soon as someone puts in local like, has anyone got a fit for a Raven, the whole fucking place just explodes. It's like, oh, this one's the best, but if you haven't got them skills, then this one's the best, and oh my god, this crazy guy called Zaqq made this one's horrible and it'll never work and you'll die in a fire, which you've got to still be wise about when you're running missions. It doesn't matter what ship you're in, whether it's a Raven, Macarial, Nightmare, anything. If you're not smart the way you do it, you could end up losing it. So be smart, guys, and we'll move on to the next one. And there she is, guys, dressed in a digital camo uniform. Absolutely lush ship. Like I say, totally iconic ship to Eve, the Raven Navy issue. Okay, so over the standard Raven, it does lose its damage bonus, so you don't get that, but you do get an extra 2 launcher slots, because the Raven only gets 6 and this one gets 8, which means more DPS. Happy days. What can't you like about DPS? So we'll start with the lows again. With this one, we've been able to fit 4 ballistic control systems. Why not? You max DPS, you know. If you fit 5, you're a fool or crazy or Zaqq or someone. But if you only fit 4, then you're doing it right. I think for the especially for the Navy Raven, when you jump into this, your skills will be a little bit higher than maybe what they would be on a standard Raven, so you can sort of push yourself up a little bit further than that. And a flux coil just for the cap and stuff. Like I say, it's nice to be like fully stable, if not going to be lasting a long time while you're boosting. Now there is some little differences between this one and the standard Raven, which I did build. So stuff the same as the control circuits, the capacitor control circuits, just to keep that cap going. And again, with the taking into account you're doing the worst possible mission, which incoming damage is going to be EM and thermal, I've kept on with the ward amplifier, the passive EM hardener, so it's just for cap, guys, it's all it is, and it really doesn't make too much difference if you use 2 EM active, so just trust us on this. If you've got that compensation skill trained to 5 or like 4, it's still doing quite a good decent amount of res. And the thermal dissipation field, obviously. Now I've opted for a target painter, which really does help. Like the better Raven hulls like this one and the Golem especially, like target painter is really good. Now the shield booster on this one, I've just went for a large shield booster and 2 amps this time. Now before you say, are you mad, bro? Again, are you mad? Just bear with us here a sec, I've wrote this down, I'll just grab me book. So what we got here, I'll just find me page. In comparison to the extra large with 1 amp on the Raven, which if you take it down per second, the extra large was doing 187.6 per second of boost. And this large with 2 amps is doing 123 per second, so it's not a really like a massive jump, like 50 HP, and it can boost like obviously much longer. And if you're feeling like quite flush, get a Pythia booster for it, because the Pythia booster, large booster, is one of the best modules I've ever had the pleasure of using on any of my ships. It fits on so many things, battleships, cruisers, just all sorts of stuff, and it really is a massive jump over this T2. And if you've got that, the Pith one with these 2 amps, you're going to be boosting like a fucking boss. So anyway, so like I say, 187 versus 123 isn't a great deal, so I think you can actually get away with that. Also, it helps with keeping the CPU level down, because fitting 8 launchers is more, obviously, and the extra ballistic, that's an extra like 30 on your cap, so CPU, sorry. So it does make a difference. Like if I put an extra large on this, it just wouldn't fit without having to change like the other mids. Maybe you have to take the target painter off and stuff like that. So I want to keep that applied damage going as well as being perma stable. So I think that's a good choice. People might disagree. I mean, I did check Battle Clinic before, and all of the Navy Raven fits are just completely crazy priced, like pimped out boosters and all that shit, and like Pith-X like this and Gisty X that and stuff, so it's pretty crazy. So really, again, trying to keep in to like a newer player, sort of like haven't got much risk, you know, like saved up for ages using a Raven to get this, so this is sort of the next level. Hit the mushroom and leveled up. So I think that with the target painter, the applied damage is really good, especially on like smaller targets, but obviously you don't want to be really shooting frigates. You can let your drones take care of them, which you should be taking. I mean, the drone bay is 100 on this, but I've only got like 1 flight of mediums and lights in, I think hammers and hobs, so yeah, pretty good. So the all-in DPS for this one is 790 with the, I'm using T2 launchers on this as well, so you can use the ballast ones, you'll get obviously a little bit less, but you should be using the T2s on this, like, because it is beast, absolutely beast. Drones, you're getting 155 with the hammers. I think that takes into account the bigger drones in your bay, and 634.5 just off the missiles themselves, which obviously totals to 790.1. And it's cap stable, boosts pretty good, so what's not like, target painters in there, which is a major factor in the ship, I think, but there's, like I say, there's a lot of the other fits going around Battle Clinic where it's like full of like Riga warhead catalysts and like just crazy rigs like that. So for a cheap and cheerful Navy Raven, I think this is a pretty good bet. So again, feel free to troll, but this is what I think like a newer player, sort of lowish SP should be using, just for safety, really. I mean, you don't need to be stable. You need to understand that you don't need to be stable, but it is nice to have that knowledge. Well, I'm going to be stable, and my tank's going to last for ages anyway, so why not? I mean, is it going to tank all level 4 missions like a boss? Probably not, but that depends on like how you're flying. If you just go into a room and you sit still, you're going to get spanked. But if you keep moving, like you be smart, like I said before, then you should have no issues. And obviously, if you can afford it, get better mods. So you would get that Pith A mod, which is a massive increase. So big, like it's just unbelievable. Best booster in the game, like for that size. I wouldn't recommend really getting faction or like Dead Space amps, because for the proper extortion money, like unless you're completely flush, I wouldn't bother with them. And also you can get the officer or Dead Space like dedicated resistances. They're pretty good, and they're not really that expensive either. I think like 150 to like 250 mil. I think me buddy Alfie paid for them, so they're pretty worth it as well if you can afford it. But if you want to start spending on like pimp stuff like that, then you need to move up to the golem, which I might cover, but it is pretty similar, if you know what I mean. Totally forgot to plug them implants in to see what effect that would have on the ship too. So let's do that right now. Plug in. Like I say, these are only +3s. If you're flying one of these, you could probably afford the +5s. So not much change to the cap, it's just a little bit more stable, and we're doing an extra 19 DPS because it's only like 3%. I think for the next one I also got asked to do have a look at the rattlesnake, so I think when I do that I'll probably look at the dummy as well, because you can sort of have like both sentry setups, or then you can have the cruise missile rattler as well. So we'll think about that and we'll see if we get some response from it. But like I say, leave a comment, some feedback and all that type of joyful stuff, or hate, because I'm sure there's going to be people that fucking hate this fit, and it's just like, oh, what you doing, bro? You mad bro. So anyway guys, that's it for this. So you're flying a PvE ship, I guess. It's a little episode. Like I say, next one's going to be Rattle and Dummy, so stay tuned for that. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. So in this video I just wanted to bounce back at the community about like a few different topics. So I want to try and involve you guys a little bit more in like the videos I make. And like, if you look back at your first loss in PvP, like when you're a complete noob, like the fit is always terrible. It's like the worst fit you can absolutely imagine. And